Hello, everybody. Sterling R. Jackson. We're going to listen to The Cure today. We're going to talk about Robert Smith's voice. I heard in a recent podcast interview, because he doesn't do many of these things, that he talked about how they didn't have a singer or something like that, and he started trying to sing and, thought it was awful and thought nobody would like his voice and all this kind of stuff. And then he's got this amazing ability that he didn't know he had, or that he just had to cultivate or whatever. But you never really know, man. Similar to another one of my favorite bands, Sigur Rós. Jónsi, the singer from Sigur Rós, was just, nobody wanted to sing, and he's like, okay, I will sing, and I like to sing very high because it's easier for me to do. And he would just use falsetto, and then they would sing in what they call gobbledygook, which is just not even lyrics, and who knows, man. Sometimes it's crazy what appeals and what works and what connects, and sometimes when it comes from a place of just innocence and not trying to force something to be something that it doesn't want to be, you really nail it. But one of my favorite things about Robert Smith's voice is the intensity that he can get just by the way he's kind of shaping his enunciation, and the way he's kind of, right now I'm not going to say like his vocal track necessarily, but it's not coming from distortion. It's not coming from, which he can do. It's not coming from belting. It's not coming from power. It's just the way he starts saying his words where you feel the fuck out of it. There's beautiful songs like show me how you do that trick, and you really get to hear his pronunciation and his accent. But then there's other songs that are dark, and the reason we all know that it's dark is because, again, you can feel it very, very much. So let's check this out. This is from their new album. I think I listened to the first single, which was very slow. I didn't really know what I thought about it. I'm not a huge Cure fan, but this is a little bit shorter, and it's called A Fragile Thing. So let's check this out together, shall we? So I love hearing the sound of the room in terms of the drums. I love that it's not the conventional same thing that you hear nowadays, where it's the same fake drum set and the same fake room over and over again. I love that it all sounds legitimately like a band getting in a room recording in whatever room they're in. It's not the same overproduced bullshit. But again, even these changes right here are very The Cure, and they're very kind of dark and mysteriously confusing and interesting, and they pull you in because it's not conventional. Again, not conventional changes, dun, 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 and they're moving around to a lot of different notes that kind of make you feel slightly conflicted. And the bass tone is great too, just having that bass right out in front with a little bit of dirt on it. Ding, 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 ding.
Every time you kiss me, I could cry, she said. Don't tell me how you miss me. I could die tonight of a broken heart. The something else is changing. We've been too far apart, and it's too late now for me to just forget.
So we hear that he's pretty quiet, and he's almost speaking, which is always a great thing about Robert, like I said, is that you don't hear a big verbose, oh, kind of thing like this. You hear somebody that's almost poetically talking. I told you, and it's just coming right out here, and it's quiet, and you hear those dynamics coming through. But again, it sounds like somebody really saying some sad shit to you, just right close to you.
I never thought I'd need to feel regretful. I never was, but all this time alone has left me hurt and sad and lost. Yeah, every time.
Like that right there, sad and lost. Like that. Nobody sings like that, man. Nobody sings like that and just has that same delivery. But again, you got to wonder, man, with a band that's been around like this for so goddamn long. Sometimes, like, what do they have to write about? What do they have to talk about? Because their lives have got to be pretty good in some ways, right? They achieved everything in some ways that they probably wanted. They got, all the money that they could need. They probably got chefs cooking food for them every day. All that kind of stuff, which we think is going to bring us all happiness, right? But yeah, this is just as dark as it ever was. It's coming from a place of darkness and sadness and loneliness and everything. And maybe he's able to compartmentalize and write about other people. Maybe he's still somebody that just struggles to be alive, like me. Yeah, it's hard to tell because he doesn't give that many interviews and stuff. But he seems like such a lovely person in these interviews too. I've always loved being able to watch and just listen to his voice. His speaking voice too, with his accent, is just tremendous. I just want to listen to him. Oh, when we were with the Cure, yeah, and everything kind of very calm and talk like this, and it's just great.
Has left me hurt and sad and lost. Every time you kiss me, I could cry. Don't tell me how you miss me. I could die tonight. A broken heart, it's loneliness, it's changing. We've been too far apart, and there's nothing you can do to change it back. She said.
So right there, we hear a little bit of the intensity I was referring to. Nothing you could do. Just a little bit of crying in there. A little bit of, but my voice doesn't carry that same weight that his does. When he starts pulling that in, so many songs I could think of. Stay if you want to. I'll never try to stop you now. There's a reason. He has this kind of thing that happens in here, and you just feel it. And you feel like you've heard that person before, and you feel like you've heard that emotion before. But when he does it, and he starts dialing that up and turning it in, or turning it on, you're just like, oh, Jesus. He did this song live probably like 6 years ago or something, and I can't remember what the band was, but he was just doing a guest vocal on it. And I got to say, man, hearing his voice show up on an album, and again, when he starts dialing that intensity in, he doesn't really have to do that much. And I wish I could get to that same level where I could understand that instead of always, again, thinking everything has to be distortional or this part has to be heavy or I really have to scream this part. It's like, no, sometimes it could just come from this emotional place and the way that you're saying things, not the actual physical intensity. So.
This love is a fragile thing. Nothing you can do now but pretend again. Nothing you can do to change it back, she said. Nothing you can do but sin. This love is a fragile thing. This love is my everything. Nothing you can do to change the end.
I want to hear that again. Just how everything just dissolved right there and just boom. And you heard the bass go, but it still had that. I think it was piano that just went bang. It sounds so final.
Nothing you can do.
Cool. I love they were using all these stone textures in the one video I saw before this, and I love all the kind of artwork that's just gritty and kind of earthy and all that kind of stuff. I was going to say too, talking about people like Eddie Izzard, the great comedian from England, and Robert Smith, wearing makeup and doing things the way that they want to do and their mannerisms. It's funny when I watch a live performance of Robert or the way he speaks, it tends to liven something in me or give me a sense of freedom in who I want to be. So I have my nails painted right now. I did that myself. Thank you. But doing things like that, I always wanted to do stuff like that, but I always felt like I couldn't. And then seeing people like Eddie Izzard and stuff that just braved and dealt with all the fucking negative, terrible stuff that people say for no reason because they're afraid of being able to do what they want to do. It's always liberating to me. And again, seeing Robert Smith, seeing Robert Smith wearing makeup and lipstick and doing exactly what he wants to do, wearing exactly what he wants to wear, and just being exactly who he is in the face of all of the horribleness that people are just going to throw at you is so kind of powerful to me. And yeah, I know people still make fun of it and be like, calling him this or that or whatever. But again, to me, it's so powerful, especially as an artist or a musician, to see people just be in their selves and their power, and whatever they have to do that and to maintain that and stay healthy in the mind. Everybody's different. Some people just don't read comments and don't have social media and all this kind of stuff. Of course, older people, I'm sure, like Robert, probably don't. They just, because it has nothing, it's not going to do anything for them. But in today's day and age, it's much more difficult when you have to constantly engage in these types of things. So who knows? But I'm interested in other people's views with that, especially males or people that are more on that spectrum. If Robert was somebody that you got to see and watch, or people like that did it do something like that to you too? Did it make you feel like you could be more of who you wanted to be, even though you're not allowed, or you grew up in a relatively racist kind of rednecky place like I grew up, where people just they're not going to put up with anything like that's different. They're just going to be like, different, and then they're going to call you every name they can come up with. Anyway. Actually sounds like he's in a real room and they're using the sound of that room. They probably didn't, I wouldn't imagine, but then again, these guys can do whatever the hell they want. I'm sure they have a rehearsal space, practice space, studio that's all theirs and whatever, or even just in his house. He might have recorded these vocals, but yeah, you can hear the sound of the room, and it's interesting.
I never thought I'd lead to feel regret for all I never was, for all this time alone has left me hurt, sad and lost. Yeah, every time you leave me, it's a lie. You make believe you need me, but you try too hard and it feels so wrong. You promise me forever, you say it won't be long. But there's something you can do to change it back, she said. Nothing you can do but see this love is a fragile thing. Nothing you can do now but send again. Nothing you can do to change it back, she said.
I'm hearing other percussion coming from over here. My monitor, I'm hearing, and I'm kind of starting to pick apart some of the pieces, but it's hard to not just listen directly to his voice and read this, because it sounds like an absolute transcript of something that happened, and it's just like literally being read out like this, because it's intense.
This love is a fragile thing. This love is my everything. Nothing you can do to change the end. Nothing you can do to change the end.
That was cool, man. A lot of times music like this, there's certain bands that I can't really listen to because it just takes me, not necessarily in a relationship, like a relating to it way that makes me feel better. It actually pulls me under further. And there's some films like that. Since I live alone and pretty isolated type of life and stuff, there's films and stuff like that now too that I can't watch, or if I'm starting to watch something and I'm getting just too depressed, I don't want to keep sinking under that and sinking into that. And The Cure sometimes will lift you way up. Like the happiest song sometimes that I've ever heard are like just like Heaven and stuff like that are just so infused with joyous, wonderful emotion. But then the other side of that dichotomy is that when it's dark, like I've mentioned, it's super dark, and I can't fucking take it. So yeah, sometimes I have trouble listening to The Cure. I'm interested once again in your experience with that. Do you have certain bands where there was another band I'll mention that was really talented and really good. I don't know whatever happened to them. They were called Hurt. They're from more when I grew up, and probably pretty big about like 15, 20 years ago, I'm guessing. God, it feels weird to say that. But they came out with Everything Just Falls Apart When I Cracked My Head and Broke My... And they had these really great, hard-hitting, beautifully emotional songs similar to this, but so much so that if I listen to the album, it's just there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's just dark, 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 and very emotionally dark and very honest, and I can't fucking take it. So thanks for joining me with this. If you like this, subscribe, all that stuff. The notification bell. Always going to be trying to talk about people's voices more and stuff like that. But again, not too much to talk about in this because his delivery was pretty much in a pocket, and it was mostly, like I said, where it's kind of just reading these things. But I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.